Hello. Got an Assa Twin 6000 that we're working with here. Hopefully it cooperates for me. I haven't touched this lock in over a month, so let's see if I can still get into it. If I can't, you guys won't be saying this, so if you're hearing me, it means that I've succeeded. I'm going to start with some heavy tension on the top. Just trying to push ourselves into a false set so that we can start on the sidebar. There it is. Just gonna slip a few of these guys there with a countermelon for good measure. They'll drop back while I'm picking the sidebar, but it makes me feel good. Alright. Loose. 2 is binding. 3 is binding. 2 again. Drop back down. There we go. Four and 5. Just have to experiment a little bit. Everything seems to be binding at the same time, so I don't actually remember the proper order for this lock, so we're just going to kind of let the lock dictate how this goes. Alright, that was our second click on 4. Two is binding again. Oh, there we go. There's a few clicks on 2. Seems spongy now. Alright, we're on 5. Alright, definitely drop some stuff well on 5 there. Trying to figure out where it's catching up. Nothing fresh binding in the front. Just click something back down. Work from there. 4 is binding now. Felt like a double click out of 4. Doesn't. Oh, no, it just slipped into the true gate. Alright. 4 seems picked, 5 seems picked, 3 seems picked. We're on 2. Still binding. Five, 4, 3, 2. One's giving me some feedback, but it's not binding. Okay, 2 still feels rock solid. It might actually be overset. Five feels a little bit too solidly set. Oh, one is binding now. Alright, let's avoid getting tension too heavy here. Check back up top and see if we got the sidebar. Okay. Felt like, oh, all right, we got 3. 3 is the only pin in this lock that doesn't have, chamber in the lock that doesn't have counter milling. I don't know, I'm pretty sure that's standard. All the Assa Twins I've seen also don't have counter milling in chamber 3 for some reason. Let's see if we're, oh yeah. Pin 1 dropped back down. Okay. 5 is binding. Still think 5 is binding. We're gonna leave him alone. Oh, there's one again. Okay. We just got a bunch of extra rotation. One still has a little bit to go, I think. Come on, baby. No, it feels like he's all the way up. Okay. Back to the top. Trying to find the stragglers. Keeping relatively light tension so that we don't accidentally fully engage the counter milling. trying to just use that sidebar pressure to keep from breaking this lock. Little feedback here. All right, we dropped something on the sidebar again, so let's just check it out. All right, and we got it open. Pin 1 dropped down. Okay. Let's get this guy gutted. We're gonna open it back up. And this is the first time I've ever gutted on video, so here's hoping it's not a complete disaster. So interesting thing about actually a lot of Assa locks, this seems to be the case, is if you pick them too much and you don't get them open when you practice, I think it actually ends up starting to make causing the lock to get more difficult, just because you start wearing down pins and sidebars around where you're where you get repeatedly stuck, and it just makes the binding orders closer and closer until it starts to become a problem. The reason I bring this up is that I have another Assa Twin with the exact same sidebar bitting as this lock, and I can't pick the sidebar on that lock, and according to the person who sold it to me, it's gone through multiple pickers and has a bunch of cosmetic damage, and all of that combined turned into something that is very difficult to pick. And just look at the sidebar. You can see the bitting cut into the sidebar here. But that's all hearsay. It's not 100% sure about the validity of that statement. The spring went flying across the room. I've sort of experienced it happening a little bit with one of my combis. I've noticed the binding order starting to get a bit more, bit closer between the pins in, at locations where I get stuck. Anyway, we're talking about the Twin 6000 though, so this does have a few master wafers in it. So we've got pin 1 and a master wafer. Pin 2 ridiculously has 2 master wafers. Somewhere, some apartment complex has very secure doors. Or it could be like a lab building. I've got friends who have Assa Twin keys on their keychains for some reason. Pin 3 is just a standard. Well, they're all standard. I don't need to tell you that. Here's 4. Now, if I wanted to make this more difficult on myself, I could, of course, remove the master wafers, but that is harder to do when the master wafers are under or inside of here when you finish picking it, or when you use the key. So, can't really do that, unfortunately. Alright, there are the pins. Standards. Alright, let's get the finger pin, or I guess these aren't called finger pins, just the sidebar pins out. These things are about to spring out, and I am going to get a pin in my face. Come on. Maybe these don't spring out, I don't remember. The combi pins explosively spring out, and that's what I've been getting a lot recently, so guess not. It's just stuck. There it is. Let's just take the whole key out. These are all identical. The bitting being inside of the sidebar, of course. You have, I can get a, here we go. You can see two false gates on the above and below the true gate in the middle. And they all have exactly the same feature. And they are all stuck. Fun. One of these things is going to go flying across the room. I just know it. There we go. These things are really in there. I don't think I've ever had that much trouble getting them out. Alright, and then springs. Cool. Now for the coup de grace. The gin bottles. And it's already escaping me. Come on. You see that lip there, that's really designed to bite into that countermilling. So the real trick for picking out of the countermilling on this in particular is when you're finishing up the sidebar, you really just got to make sure that you're not putting any sort of heavy tension on the lock. If you put heavy tension on the lock, you're gonna wedge those guys into the countermilling, and you're basically done. You have to reset, and that's it. But the sidebar pushes back pretty hard, so it's not that difficult to just tone it down. Like you can actually put a decent amount of pressure on this lock, and not really be putting that much of a fight past the sidebar. And so once you've got that balance, it's pretty easy. And that sort of automatically happens a little bit when you're picking the sidebar itself, just because at least the way that I pick the sidebar is I put some pin pressure on chamber 3's being reticent. I put some pin pressure on it. It doesn't go. I release the pressure, and then I slowly remove tension, just pulsing the pick repeatedly until it slips up into place. The reason being that if you constantly leave your pick on the pin with pressure, you've got to be kidding me. What'll happen is you will, let me keep talking while I find this spring, is that you'll just you'll bind the sidebar into its slot in the lock, and it won't do anything. The gate won't come out. And so yeah, basically you get caught up on this groove here. You put a lot of force on the pin, and you can start relieving pressure, but this sidebar is getting wedged up into this slot here if you are just pushing really hard on that pin as you release pressure. And so it's not going to go backwards under its own spring pressure. It's just going to sit there, and you're going to wonder why you've had to counter rotate so much in order to get this pin up, and then yeah, you're basically done for at that point. It's got all its counter milling. Nice grippy there. Except chamber 3, I believe, is clear. Yep, chamber 3 is clear, but all the other ones we got a nice single lip of counter milling. Anyway, I guess I have to go find that spring. Hope you don't mind that it's gone. Let's get a better look at everything here. All right. That was Assa Twin 6000. I hope you enjoyed. Have a good one.